Start with Japanese politics. A runoff vote for the leadership of the country's ruling Liberal Democratic Party is underway. Now we have live footage from Tokyo. You're watching the runoff of the election on the leader of Japan's ruling LDP, Liberal Democratic Party. This is live footage from Tokyo. And in the first round of voting, none of the four candidates received more than half of the 764 votes. Now, the top two candidates from the first round, Vaccine Minister Taro Kono and former Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida, are facing off in a second vote. And this is live footage from the very side of this second vote. Whoever wins will almost certainly become the next Prime Minister of Japan. Yoshihide Suga had earlier announced that he would not seek a second term as LDP leader. For more on the ongoing second round election of the LDP leader, Mayu Yoshida joins us live from Tokyo. Mayu, you've been following this very closely. So it looks like it will be one of Taro Kono or Fumio Kishida. Tell us more about their policy platforms.
Right, well, we were all expecting this, but this is such a tight race. No one won majority in the first round, so that's why there's a runoff between Kishida and Kono. Now, previous surveys predicted Kono to rank top in the first round, but to everyone's surprise, former Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida ranked first by one vote. Kishida in the first round won 256 votes, and popular vaccine minister Taro Kono won 255 votes. Now, results of the second round may come out in half an hour or in any minute now. Now, in the second round, 429 votes are up for grabs. So whoever wins 215 votes or more is assured of becoming the country's new prime minister. This will be official at the parliament on October 1st. So, who has a better chance, Kishida or Kono? Well, various factors actually point to Kishida winning in the second round. Kishida has his own faction and a stronger network among the LDP, so that's a big advantage in the second round. Kishida also leads among lawmakers as senior party bosses see him more stable. Also, supporters of rival Sanai Takaichi that accounted of over 20% of votes in the first round are reportedly willing to back Kishida. Now, Kono's faction is not that strong, and he tends to get more support from independent and younger lawmakers. And the ruling LDP is all about factions. Last year, we all knew who was going to win because many political factions rallied around Yoshihide Suga to make him a successor of Shinzo Abe. But unlike last year, factions are not unified this year. That's why the race is so close to call.
Thank you very much, our correspondent Mayu Yoshida in Tokyo. Now, for more insight on this election, let's cross live to Professor Rong Ying, Vice President of the China Institute of International Studies. Thank you very much for joining us, Professor. So I know you served as a Chinese diplomat in Japan years ago. So tell us, from your first-hand observation, how much difference does the two make in terms of policy making and diplomatic thinking?
Well, yeah, as far as I can see that there are some differences, even though I think not so big. I agree with that in terms of support from the...
Sorry, Professor, we got the latest results from this ongoing election. So it's official now. Fumio Kishida is elected as the leader of Japan's ruling party, the Liberal Democratic Party. Again, Fumio Kishida is elected as the leader of Japan's ruling party. So now we have a clear winner, Professor. Tell us more about Fumio Kishida. What about his domestic policy making and his diplomatic thinking? Because he served as foreign minister, not exactly a stranger to China, right?
Exactly. That's what I was saying that he seems that he has strong support from the direct members, and more importantly, I think what makes him win the runoff election is because of his style. He is regarded as a steady, stable sort of a style, which I think fits or likes by the mainstream LDP leaders, while Taro Kono is regarded a little bit unconventional or unpredictable. So, while it's very popular among the public, among the party or average members, it's not so well liked by the party's old politician. In terms of the policies, I don't see there's such big differences, as both of them were foreign ministers, and under the leadership under the Abe administration. And I think, but of course, there are some slight differences in terms of how they should manage the relationship with neighbors and others. I have to say that on the question, which I think neighboring countries and regional countries that has been very much being watched for is, of course, the question of the revision of the pacifist constitution. I think all of them they support that, even though I think in terms of the style, it seems that they understand that it would not happen in a short period of time. And otherwise, I think this is the foreign and policies. I don't think it plays such a big role in terms of these elections. Rather, it is always the economy. It is about the way, I think, how to manage the aging populations, the pensions, and of course, the most important thing is how they can manage the fallout, the impacts of the pandemic. The pandemic is the most important thing, I think, for the time being.
So, Fumio Kishida is elected as the leader of Japan's ruling LDP. He's almost certain to become the next Prime Minister of Japan. Do you think he will face a totally different policy picture once he is in that place? For example, many observers are saying that Japan is now facing more pressure from the United States to pick a side between China and Japan. Do you think that pressure is real for Kishida in the near future?
The pressure is always there. Japan is the ally of the United States, is one of the closest allies. And Japan always faces the question of how to sort of exercise a kind of a strategic autonomy, and how to avoiding taking sides from the kind of a competition between China and the United States. And they have their own way, and they know how to do that. The problem, I think, so far, as far as I can see in the past few years, particularly I think in the later, in the time when the previous administration, the Soga administration, it seems that Japan has lost the sense or the direction of or ability to do that. And as now Kishida has taken over, and then I think they will have a new opportunity to think about, to look at how they can manage the pressure from the United States. The most important thing, or the importance of Japan, is not, too much sort of depending on United States. Rather, I think it would play a bigger role. It would serve the best interest and to be more strategic, autonomous.
And Professor, from Fumio Kishida's diplomatic career path, let me be straightforward. Do you think he's a China hawkish?
I don't think that he's such a China hawkish. Certainly, I think as a prime minister, as the president of the LDP, it would have to take care of its own interests. He understands China well. He understands the importance of China-Japan relationship, and more importantly, I think looking ahead as a prime minister, he would have to face up the reality of rising China, a China that is rising, there's no way to stop, and China as a close neighbor of Japan, and it would have to work out to live with China. The more importantly, I think if you look at the history, the China and Japan history. They have a long history of interactions, and for a period of difficult times, the Japanese aggressions, But that was the most, I think, painful period. And Japan would have to certainly face up that and take history as a mirror, and so that for a stable relationship. But otherwise, I think if Japan really want to come out of the difficulties that are facing economically and also in terms of the pressure from the United States, I think Japan would have to be Japan itself, not somebody or as an appendix, kind of just blindly follow a particular country. I think it's the right way for Japan, as far as I can see.
Thank you very much, Professor Rong Yin, Vice President of the China Institute of International Studies. And Fumio Kishida is elected as the leader of Japan's ruling party, the Liberal Democratic Party. Kishida served as foreign minister under Shinzo Abe and also has been the LDP's policy chief. The 64-year-old is making a second bid to win the presidency of the LDP after losing to Yoshihide Suga in 2020. Kishida is an advocate for nuclear disarmament. He helped to bring about then U.S. President Barack Obama's visit to Hiroshima, devastated by U.S. nuclear bombing during the Second World War. Kishida holds a tough stance against China, as many observers are describing it. He supports condemning China in the alleged human rights abuse issues in Xinjiang. As for the pandemic, Kishida gives strong support for domestic development of vaccines and medicine.